Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I'm very happy to have Mr. Sam Mitchell here. He is he's doing a lot of things to help people to cope with day-to-day, uh, sometimes setbacks, struggles with people with autism. Uh, he's got a good heart. I've just got to talk to him in the last few minutes, and he does. And I see he has nothing but good intentions. So I'm going to let this man tell us a little bit about himself, and we're going to get into a good conversation. Let's see where it leads. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Sam.
Yep. So hello, everyone. My name is Sam Mitchell. I do run the podcast, Autism Rocks and Rolls Corporation. It's a nonprofit, but it was once a podcast and still is. But anyway, the podcast itself is about autism and how we cope with daily struggles that you may or may not understand. I ran it since October 2019, and I'm at 10.1K downloads right now. And I've had big guests on the show, such as Temple Grant and Mick Foley.
Wow. Matt, what was it like talking to him?
Oh, it was great. Greatest guy alive. Probably one of the most humble people you'll ever meet. Or if not, one of the most top 5 humble celebrities you'll ever meet. And it was cool because fun fact about him is he has a son who is on the autism spectrum.
Really?
He does.
Wow.
But the cool thing is his son, according to his newest biography, is a self-taught genius in the electric guitar field.
Well, some people probably don't understand what autism really is. I think they think that people with autism can't do anything, or I don't know, they have a mental handicap that prevents them from doing things. And having a grandson that has autism, I can tell you that's not true. He's a character and a half. He definitely has his own thing, but what exactly is autism for those that may not understand?
Well, it depends on which view you say. For society's view, it's a neurodevelopmental condition that makes you struggle with social cues, that makes you struggle with certain life struggles. It makes you basically maybe a genius in something else that's kind of complicated to others, but something as simple as washing your hands may be very hard for you. But in my eyes, I just see it as a different way of thinking.
Yeah, with a lot of it has to do with also tics and things like that as well, right?
Yeah, certain triggers, certain sensory issues, certain things that we may not like, certain noises, certain sounds, certain textures, certain tastes we may not like.
Yeah, I know whenever I'm talking to him, if I say something that is triggering to him, he'll either have a fit or he'll try to hurt himself, different things like that. And we're trying to get to learn all the triggers, because he's only 7 and we just found out about it, but it doesn't hold him back. And that's one thing I want folks out there to understand.
No, that's what I want people to do, is treat us the same like you would anyone else. Just know that we have certain triggers like anyone else does. I mean, they may be a little bit peculiar triggers, but we're not bad people. I mean, yeah, we may get triggered by something that is kind of odd, but that doesn't mean certain other people have triggers.
I have mine. You know, you talk about my Dallas Cowboys, I'm going to probably go off on it.
I mean, as cheesy as it sounds, that's actually a perfect example.
You were telling me some of your achievements before we got started, and I wanted you to share that with everyone. So kind of give us a rundown.
All right. So top 10 podcast and People's Choice Awards. I was one of the top 10. I placed second in the JAG competition of Indiana, which is best entrepreneurship plan. I won first in region 8. So my region, I basically swiped out the competition apparently. And I basically won a lot of money for it. So that was really cool. And it was actually a great program to be involved. JAG stands for Jobs for American Graduates, and it teaches those critical thinking skills and job skills. I feel like that's what we're missing in the classroom these days.
Yeah, that's something that,
no offense to teachers.
Well, this is something that I've talked about with folks, because over in the town we used to live in, they have a high school that it's basically just training you to do what you want to do in the future, instead of spending so much time talking about things you probably will not use in your lifetime. They'll focus more on, I don't know, say you wanted to be a welder. I mean, of course, you're going to need to read and write and do math and all these things, and you will be taught those, but you will be taught things that are more pertain to what you want to do in the future.
Right. Instead of reading like certain nonfiction, we probably should read about welding if we want to be a welder.
It's something like that. Yeah. I think we should probably do more like that for our children, instead of, there was classes I sat in that I didn't retain any of it, and it's kind of pointless.
Yeah,
But,
it depends on the teacher itself if they're doing their job at least.
is this your plan for the future? Is just doing podcasting
I mean, I always joke around. I say, ask me in 5 years and we'll talk again because
right.
I don't want to make a promise and then not follow through. So, is it potentially that this is my life? Yeah. Is it potential that I move on to something else? Yes. Is it possible that I get a job involving the media or involving podcasting but still doing this?
Mhm.
Yes. So, I mean, it all depends. I mean, it could change, it could stay the way it is right now. I don't know. I'm just taking it one day at a time and trying to get through college right now.
Oh wow, you going to college, huh?
Yep, I'm in Ivy Tech in Bloomington, Indiana for general business administration as of now, but I'm hoping to transfer to Vincent University next year for media.
Tell me a little bit more about your podcast.
So my podcast, I mean, it started after I joined my high school's media club, and ever since I fell in love with it, I decided to continue my own media skills. And that's where I found Autism Rocks and Rolls. And it originally was a hobby. But after we got sponsors and we got a board of 5 members, it turned to a full-fledged nonprofit corporation. And it's turning more into a movement of showing those on the autism spectrum and those who have conditions should be celebrated and they should be recognized for the work that is going on around them, no matter what they're doing, whether they're being in the sports field or being in the podcast field or even in the music field. It should be we should be recognized like everyone else is. Temple Grandin, the biggest autistic advocate out there, is changing agricultural world in many ways. I've
Mhm.
had Simon Majumdar, who is a main person on the Food Network. He was the Iron Chef judge for shows such as Cutthroat Kitchen and Guy's Grocery Games. He's the bald one and the British one. So if you see him on the Food Network, that's who I had. And then also I've had other pro wrestlers, not just Mick Foley. I've had Al Snow, Rob Van Dam, and I just recently had Raven.
You were telling me about Mick Foley. He came on and talked about his son being on
Right,
the
we focused on
spectrum.
wrestling a lot, but yeah, we mentioned his son and briefly talked about what he did, what he has done as a father.
But you do more than just talk about autism on your show. You get into regular conversations.
Yeah, sometimes I'll talk about the autism, what they do, but it goes off a little bit of a tangent. We'll go on tangent, but I try to stick on the topic.
What are your other favorite subjects?
Certain autistic behaviors. So sometimes I'll interview guests if I get them on for autistic behaviors. I'll talk about a certain behavior of mine that I've struggled with throughout my life, such as being too blunt, such as not doing one, do plan Bs, such as some of the sensory issues I've had, such as trying to obsess, which I don't call it that anymore. I call it practicing for my future skills. And then I also will every once in a while talk about something that I love and compare it to that. For example, I did a 4-part series on professional wrestling and how it relates to autism and how it's helped me throughout my life.
Mhm.
And then I'll talk about and then I compared pinball to autism, which was one of the best according to my listeners out there. And then I even did one on Scooby Doo.
Well, talk about being blunt, because sometimes that's good for folks like me when someone just comes out and tells us. We're tired of
Right.
people just telling us what we want to hear.
That's
So
not me. I mean, I'm the type of person who would rather tell you how it is, and I'd rather you be truthful with me than
right.
lie to me and sugarcoat things. I always joke around and say I'd rather not put the sugar on the cookies. I'd rather put the spiciness on the wings.
I'll be honest with you. We were coming on here, and I thought, well, how am I going to approach this? Because I want you, I want to treat you like I would anybody else that comes on my show. I'm not. I wasn't sure how I was going to talk to you today. But
Yeah, don't worry. I've
I've
had to deal with that before. Actually, I can tell you a story about that. My
sure.
grandfather, he's awesome. I'm not saying like, oh, my grandfather sucks or anything. No, I think I get killed for that. If I did tell him that, but no, he's done a lot for me. He's actually one of our board members, but he told me on the grand finale episode when he was younger, he was afraid to be around someone with a disability, not because he didn't want to be mean to them, just because he didn't want to say the wrong thing to them. And next thing you know, he's the bad guy.
Yeah, so that's the thing. When you want to be respectful, but at the same time, yeah, I don't want to treat you any different than I would my neighbor. And I'm respectful to them. If they say they would prefer I didn't play music after 10 o'clock. And it's
Yeah, but
probably
you
a
gotta
bad
be. And
example.
my
You
thing with
just
that is you gotta be reasonable because if
right,
they told
right.
you not to play music at all, I'd look at them like they're nuts. I'm thinking, not happening.
Yeah, we can compromise there. And I want to be. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't know how to go about handling some of these situations like this. Like my grandson, I know that I love him, and I'm not going to treat him any more favorable than I would my other two grandkids. But at the same time, I got to know
You
when
gotta lay
not
down
to
the
do the
law.
wrong thing. How do you lay down the law but be understanding of what he's going through at the same time?
Well, that's a great question. That is more of a parent question for her. So you have to talk to a lot of parents about that, see what they've done, but it depends on the child. So with me, here's an example: meltdowns versus tantrums. Here's a great example. So if your autistic child has a big old fat tantrum because he's not getting his favorite toy, that's every child. But if
Right.
there's a buzzer going off because of the basketball games, then that's a meltdown.
Yeah.
So that's what it all depends on. And it's hard to be the judge. So, I mean, as you said, your son bangs his head on the car. He can't do that. So I'm wondering, introduce him to something else. Because I think maybe not banging his head on the car, but what about banging his head on a punching bag?
Yeah, and see, I actually talked to someone about that because this lady up in Canada, she has a son that has autism, and she got a lot of like gym equipment, like punching bags and things like that to put around the house. And number one, it gets his energy out when he needs to get the energy out. And number two, you're not going to hurt yourself as bad on a punching bag as you would on a car door.
Yeah,
And also, like, he'll have a fit and he'll try to hurt his brother.
or his
And
brother.
yeah, and his brother's older. He can take it. He's a lot bigger than him, but you don't want him hitting him either.
Well, my idea, and this is just me. Does his brother fight back?
No, he won't fight back.
Well, I'm not telling him to fight back. I'm glad he doesn't, but I don't see the problem with it's gonna sound exhausting, but removing him from the situation.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like I say, I'm not there to take care of it because we're almost 4 hours apart. But when I am, and I am watching them, it, I need to know, how do I approach this in a better way. I have to be understanding, but I can't let him do those things. So
Right.
removing
You
him.
know,
But what if he's there and he's watching him for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes while I'm upstairs taking a shower or
right. And
whatever.
I'll tell you this too, what my grandfather did was a lot of explanations.
Hmm.
Was instead of like, I think we need to be, I'm not saying like we should avoid discipline. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. I think if we do something wrong, yeah, we should like something like we know is wrong, like basically hitting. Yeah, we should obviously be punished in my eyes. But something they don't know, like they're learning as a child. I mean, I think we should maybe try explaining instead of saying the kid banging his head on the door. Don't be like, no, don't do that. Just say no, we don't do this because yada 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 yada.
Was there certain triggers that set you off that you just can't help the things that you do?
Certain triggers. Yeah, when I was younger, I didn't do fireworks. I mean, there were sometimes fireworks where I just had to basically go in the basement of my house and didn't participate in 4th of July parties. That's not me anymore. I'm the opposite now. I think rock and roll kind of changed that for me, but give that a try. I mean, you can always start gradually. If your kid doesn't like going to the park the zoo, because of what's going on, take them to the park when it's not busy. You can still have moments with them. It's just you may be trading it in for something.
Okay, yeah, I got you. Well, let's say this is all new to me. I've heard of the first time I ever even heard of autism was the movie The Rain Man, and I just you get a picture that all people that have autism are like that.
Yeah, you can watch Temple Grand. There's a movie called Temple Grandin. That's another good movie. That shows autism well. Because Temple Grandin, she has said it before in her life. She doesn't think in words. I'm like the opposite. I think in words. She thinks in pictures. So if you tell her a little expression like I'm pulling your leg, she'll think her leg is literally being pulled off. Or I think it's a scene in the movie where she said that we get up at the crack of dawn with the roosters, and she envisioned her aunt and uncle literally like cock-a-doodle doing with the roosters. I mean, and then what my grandfather has done with me, it was helpful. It was very helpful to understand that there's meaning to two different ways as puns.
So tell me a little bit about your mom. She's a big supporter of what you do. She helps you out quite a
I
bit.
think she's probably supported my family. Has probably been the biggest support system I've had throughout my lifetime. But I think that's as she says, my number one fan, like any mother would say that. But we both decided to grow the business together, and they sometimes say family isn't the best support, not the best support system, but your best business partner. That's the case some days, but for most days, I think we understand what we do, understand what each other, and I wouldn't have anyone else working for me for now, at least.
Yeah, she stays on your butt though, doesn't she?
Yeah, I boss her around most of the time, but when it comes to this, but comes to life, she still says that I'll whoop your butt. So
well, it sounds like a good mom. And your grandparents. Wow, it's nice to have them to help you out as well.
yeah, I'm just grateful to have them still.
Yeah.
I have 2 sets of grandparents, and I'm very grateful to have them every day of my life. Believe me.
So are you thinking of having a family sometime in the future?
I thought about that before, and I'm actually, believe it or not, happy either way. I mean, here's the reason for me, because I've heard that's a big marriage factor, is like if we get married, we're having kids, and then some do, some don't, and that may not be true, but that's what I've heard. So to make it easier on other people, it's not the fact that I'm not caring because I don't want it or I do want it. I'm just not head set and strong. I mean, do I want kids? Sure. Do I not want kids? Okay. I'm happy either way. It's just how I am. I think, if we do have kids, I'll probably have to make some changes and learn what fatherhood truly means, but I'll make it work.
Oh, I know you would. Well, there's no rush, that's for sure. You're what, 19?
Yep.
19, and you get college, get through college.
Yeah. One
Figure
side
out
I
what you
would say
want.
though is I'm very patient with children. I will say that. I know children require lots of patience, so I know that surprisingly, I'm very patient with children.
Well, this is something fascinating that you made me think of. So my grandson is 7, and then on my like I got remarried, and I don't say my stepkids or my bonus kids, but one of those girls had a little boy, and he's 2 now, and my 7-year-old, like he is so protective of the 2-year-old, and he really likes him, very attentive, likes to play with them the whole 9 yards, and he's not quite as that way with the other people. Do you think there's a reason why that some people would gravitate to children? I don't know, when they are autistic. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, they just you just have to see the relationship. He really cares about
We're
him. So
probably both confused because I mean, when we get no, because children are gonna talk to anybody. They're wandering their little minds off. They just talk to them because they're sociable and they're understandable. When kids get to my age, such as 18, 14, or 13, they're I think puberty's kind of hitting, and they've only been told what they know, like autism this, they can't, all that, all the negative stereotypes, that they
yeah.
start believing it. And all they know to do is, since they don't want to put up with me, here comes in the exclusion, here comes them, I don't want to hang out with him, he's too odd, he's different.
Oh, so you think it's more along the line, here's somebody that will play with me because he's not judging me, that kind of thing. Okay, I got you. I just know he really loves his cousin,
And it could be by blood too. I mean, to this day, my cousin is my best friend.
yeah. And I mean, they don't know that they're not blood related, but they're still related. Let's put that way.
Yeah.
We don't look at it as this extended family we have as, step kids, step moms, all that kind of stuff. No, we're just family. So even though they're not blood, they're still family.
Oh, I get it. And like I said, it could be the blood, or it could be the just wanting to play, really. And I guess the kids are giving the 7-year-old a chance. The chances that I and him probably don't get when we go to school.
Yeah. I could see how that could be difficult because kids can be cruel. They don't understand something, they make fun of it. Which brings me to another question, because I know there's got to be days where you start to kind of feel sorry for yourself. What gets you past that?
Well, in times, yeah, I'll admit I've hit rock bottom. I mean, but we all in life.
We all do.
Oh yeah, but I guess the way that I get through it is you've had to start caring, not what others thought about you. And when I get to that point, it led me to some arrogance. I won't lie, but it's led me to also being much more happier and still having a heart, but just not caring about people's thoughts of what you're doing. So if someone wants to judge you for liking pro wrestling, go ahead. But I had to get to the point to think that they're wasting their time. And to this day, I believe that they're wasting their time if they're going to judge me on something as ridiculous as that.
Yeah. Was there a point in your life where your mom kind of sat down and said, "Hey, Sam, you might have noticed you're a little different from the other kids"?
Oh yeah, I was reading a book. I was reading a book called Understanding Sam, and I'm the type of guy who just kind of solves stuff before it happens. So I was figuring, like, okay, I know where you're going with this. You're telling me I have Asperger's syndrome, aren't you? And she was like, yeah. And I guess it was kind of a eureka moment because I finally found this is what's happening. Now I know. And I think I'm glad she did, because for me, it would hurt a lot more if I was not told.
Of course. You just made to believe that you're just an oddball. That's why you're different from everybody else. And I would be pissed off too if nobody had told me.
Right. And she waited some time, obviously. She waited till I was 6. And I think that was a perfect time because that's when they're starting to understand. And that's when everyone's trying to get what they can get. But I think she wanted me to enjoy childhood before um, the adulthood hit on them.
Well, let's face it. I mean, it is something you have to deal with, and there's certain things you have to change in your life that's going to be different from everybody else. That's just a fact.
Yeah, but through autism and through this journey, I met some amazing people and I made some awesome friends despite having autism.
And your mother, she sounds like, hey, you're different, but you're not different. Now get out,
Yeah.
go do your chores.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is actually. She understands I have autism, but I'm still have expectations in the house and I wouldn't prefer it any other way though.
She says that's not an excuse to not clean your room.
Yeah. I tried a couple times and it didn't work out well. I still had to do it.
uh, do you have any funny stories that you can share along that line?
Yeah, I think once I had to clean something and I think it was possibly the bathroom. And I think at the time I was just mad at something that she did. And then I just said it out of spite. And then next thing you know, I get a 20-minute lecture on it.
You try to use that as an excuse. I'm sorry, Mom, I can't do it.
Yeah, but I only done it twice. Let's put it that way. Well, first time I just didn't know, and I just thought I really can't do it because of this. But that's when I learned no. But the second time was more of just I'm mad at you. Ordeal.
Right. Oh man, this has been a great conversation. I'm glad I had it. And,
Of course.
I hope we stay in touch.
Of course, man. I mean, you ever want me back on the show, give me a holler.
Oh, I would love to have you back. Maybe you can come on and do an interview with me.
Awesome. And if you ever want my mother too, you have her contact information on
Yes, I
there. If
do.
you ever want, any of if you ever want any of these people, which is the grandfather, if you want to learn more about what he did as a grandfather, feel free.
So, do you plan on writing some books?
Believe it or not, we were just talking about that before we started grocery shopping. Yeah, we're planning on writing some books. I think we're gonna do some children's books and then publish on Amazon.
Mhm.
But then at some point, I think I'm gonna do a memoir about my story, but make it a little creative. I mean, for me, I mean, we've heard the typical memoirs where they tell those stories like, yeah, this has happened, and oh my, that's boring as crap to me. So my idea of telling a memoir is telling certain stories of mine that I went through. For example, I mean, playing the board game by myself, 4th grade, remember to this day, at Inside Recess, there's a certain monkey game with the coconuts, and I couldn't learn how to do it, so I was trying to play with it. But I play it all the time by myself
Oh wow.
because no one wanted to take the time for me. I played with Hank, which is like a dog we were able to see on Fridays, but that was the only person.
Hmm. Well, I can imagine you've had some heartbreaking moments in your life, but I'm glad that you're not letting that hold you back.
Yeah, I mean, I thought of that before. I mean, with the way I've been treated and um what I've been through, I mean, I should be angry and kind of mad, but where the heck is it going to get me?
That's true. When I found out that I had my degenerative disease, I could have been mad at the world. I mean, I can't work anymore, and I can't run and jump and do all the stuff that I used to be able to do and get out and play football with my grandkids. And I could sit here and I could pout, but instead,
Yeah,
I
but
started doing
there are
this.
yeah, but at the end of the day, there are ways I think you can. And
There's
for
certain
me,
things I can do. I mean, I could sit on the couch and toss the ball back with my grandson, or I'll get on the ground and play cars with them, and I find stuff that I can do with them. But I mean, I'm not ever going to be able to climb up a mountain with them, but
Right.
we can do it virtually, I guess. They have
Yeah.
little.
As much as sometimes virtually is pain in the butt, virtually is a tool coming to tool these days. And as I said, technology might be a tool. I know some are non-speaking, and because of the non-speaking, these are tools now that you can use in order for them to hear them out.
Speaking of those little poppet toys or whatever you call it, the one I'm talking about. They got little
Yeah.
things you can
This
push
is
it
for this is
in,
for
and
ADHD. I mean, I also have ADHD, so my issue with ADHD is I cannot like sit still
yeah,
and basically like just do that and talk to you at the same time. I had to like be focused on something else.
yeah,
Or when I'm just sitting and bored, I get bored easily and I just sit around doing something. I can't just sit around and relax. My way of sitting around and relaxing is sitting and relaxing, but also doing something. For example, when I found an old baseball the other day. I don't know how
mhm.
I found it. So what I do now is basically I'll just throw around the ball. If you watch kind of like Sylvester Stallone does on the later Rockies, he always has like a big bouncy ball and
Oh
bounces it,
yeah,
catches it. I do that now, except I throw it up in the air and catch it.
yeah. We had researched what different toys and things that we could get for my grandson for Christmas, because I didn't want to just get him any little toy. We wanted to get something that could be beneficial for him to, to help curb those times when he would have his fits. And there's a lot of interactive toys that they recommended, and I can't remember what did we buy him. I say that's a problem getting old. You forget stuff.
Like
Uh,
my sometimes that question, my grandfathers can remember the day it is.
I'm
Don't
lucky
worry
if I
about that.
remember what I had for breakfast. Anyway, we got him interactive toys. Some of it is like the those kits that you can get and you can grow your own crystals.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so we get him stuff like that because it's something he can actually, you know, feel the textures, and he's created this thing and he can, it's interactive. I hope I'm explaining that right.
Yeah, you explain it right. I'll tell you this. I met someone interesting the other day. While I was in Canada, what they like to do is they actually love Pete the Cat books and always love drawing the number 3. So in my eyes, what they could have done with that is they could have worked for Pete the Cat or the company that labels Pete the Cat.
Hmm. Well, they've got so many things that they're coming out with now, like you said, with technology, the little poppet things. I guess that occupies his mind. Uh, you know what I'm talking about, the poppet deals, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they make all kinds of shapes in that. But oh, the that little good Lord, what do you call that thing? It's a little toy. You hold it in your hand and you can spin it. I guess it's called
Fidget spinner.
spinner. Yeah, fidget spinners. Yeah, he likes those things too.
Well, why not take him to something? Why not try if you ever do hang out with him? Try a science museum, like a children's science museum, and see if he can. There's a science museum around here. I know that it's called Wonder Lab, and it shows kids that it basically helped kids out if they spun around. And I think that something like a science museum or something that spins around, they probably like that.
Now they got one in Houston. You go there and you can do little chemical experiments. I think they made snow at one point, all kinds of stuff.
But is
But
there
there's
anything
all
there
kinds
that
of,
spins?
yeah, there's I think it's the one in Houston. You go to it and there's some kind of gadget they built that has all kinds of little spinner things on it.
All right, since he
I
likes
can't tell you what it's called.
All right, well, here's the deal. Since he likes fidget spinners, next time you see him, if you're hanging around in Houston, you hang out with him in Houston, go to that museum, go to that spinning thing, whatever the heck it's called, and just see what he does. Because if I had to guess, I bet he'll be in a zone and loving it.
Yeah, you can tell when he gets interested in something, that's the calmest he ever is. So
I
even when
think
he does his little videos, he does these crazy little things, but you can see the joy on his face. You can see how calm he is. Take that away, and oh my gosh, you got a monster on your hands.
I don't think it's a monster, but if you like something that spins, give that a shot. See if he gets interested in that thing that spins.
This has been really fun. I appreciate it, man. And
No problemo.
I think we should try to set up another time that we can get together and maybe do an interview between us, or you could help me do an interview with somebody else. And,
Yeah, I can give you some contacts. I mean, you can talk to my mother, as I said, or my grandfather could come on. I mean, he doesn't come on much. I think I had to pull some strings to do it, but knowing him, if I was on there with him, I bet it'd be kind of fun.
I think I would like to talk to your mom if she'd be up to it, because I want to get her perspective on all this.
Okay, yeah, just leave her an email, and I'll tell her about it.
Yeah, definitely. So do you have a website?
Yeah, autismrocksandrolls.com, and the podcast it's on there too, but there are links to it where you can hit it and it will take you to the link of the podcast. So and I'm also on your favorite media platform. So if you think I'm there, I'm there.
Okay, so talking Facebook, Instagram, all those.
YouTube, Podbean, you name it, I'm there.
Okay, I'm gonna put some links in the description of this particular episode, so people can click on it and go to it. And when do you usually put out your episodes?
Every 13 days. So the Raven one is coming out tomorrow, because if you count 13 days from the last episode, there you go.
Okay, every 13 days. All right. Until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. Take care of my buddy here. Go check out his show. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network